So this is a little bit about Big Picture, my latest release. I tried to encapsulate a new concept of a hybrid release, and the name Big Picture comes from the idea of making a album based around a film or film style music. And the film has never been released, and the music has essentially like exit music style music. It's like powerful, it's emotional, like the stuff you would see on the end credits of a film or maybe during the intro. And because it's being released in a hybrid style, what I'm doing here is I'm making part of it available on a platform called Disco, where there's lots of stems and all these smaller elements to help editors be able to utilize the music for synchronization in film. And it's also being released, of course, on the regular streaming platforms as just regular listening music. And these pieces are very unique pieces. And besides the pieces being unique, there's also supplemental material on the Disco release. And on the Disco release, I have a hybrid thing going on. I'm always about the hybrid with female and male vocal for each song, stems, and then additionally these alt tracks. And the alt tracks are sort of embellishments on the key principles of the themes in the songs. So, there's quite a bit going on when you find the Disco link to Big Picture. And I'm only getting started actually because there's some more things I want to add to it. It's a very complicated process to add like specific things to the metadata of a release while you're sort of doing these tracks and inserting them simultaneously, because there's just so many T's and I's to cross or whatever. So the point of the release is basically overall just a summary of what I've learned from film music, and then also just regular old songs, and trying to get the best of both worlds and put in high degrees of technological understanding and talented people working with the project. And it's just another big push towards music that can be utilized in more ways and get more, let's say, placements and let's say utilization. So you have ways of utilizing it in background music, or you have ways of utilizing it in films, and you have ways of utilizing it in just regular listening environments. So sentimentally, the tone of the release is really like a romantic tone. And I don't really know a lot about romance. I've never had a girlfriend, but I've been very preoccupied with music, and it's really a crazy struggle. It's just crazy. But anyway, so the point being, like the overall tone would be something like, a heartfelt film with some romantic elements. And I wrote an original piece for it called Hidden Kingdom of Love and things like this to sort of support that idea, because overall, my idea for Big Picture is that it's multiple releases with the big picture concept in mind. And in reality, it's more than I thought I would do for this first release, because I ended up doing multiple songs when I was really thinking about just focusing on one song and using that as a theme. And then I said, well, let me just see if the vocalist is interested in doing more. And they were a great sport, and they were very talented, and they had a unique quality to the vocal. And that brings me to another thing, which is that there's a really, 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 really special track in this. It's called It's Just Me and Damage Control. So that piece was one of those magical moments, and you would never know it in this era because nobody appreciates nothing. But for me, I'm experienced enough to have seen like a lot of things with music, what goes right, what goes wrong, and when the elements don't come together, and when they do, and when it's lucky. And so this was lucky. Will it be recepted by will people be receptive of it? I don't know. But The point being, what happened with It's Just Me and Damage Control, why that name? Well, here's why. It's Just Me was one of the first synchronization pieces that I ever had placed when I was in San Francisco, California, and when I was first getting involved with production music. And so It's Just Me is just a piano piece, and it's sort of written about my grandfather because it was like after he passed away, after 4 years on dialysis, he had died and I had come home and the body was there and it was horrible and it was traumatic and it took me a very long time to get over like him not being there. And so It's Just Me was sort of just about like how now it's just me. Because in life, I always write about these themes like life, you have these people who can be your protectors. And when they go away, life can be like hell on earth. It really is like you're in free fall. You're just falling and then there's rocks and you smack into a rock and then you keep falling. That's what life is like without proper guardianship, which a lot of people experience in this world. So that's one part of it. The other part of it was Damage Control. And Damage Control was just a song about how love is, and modern love is like, seems like more like controlling the torment and the abuse of the modern world and the rocks of it all. And love is like something to soften the blows in some cases. So Damage Control. But what happened that's unique is when I blended the vocal from Damage Control for another thing I was working on for Damage Control with It's Just Me, it took on a life of its own in the vocal, and it became something very cool that I'd never heard before. And I've heard a lot of stuff, and I always listen for new stuff, and this was something new. So it was very nice how it all came together. So that's a bit about this release. Big picture, and I'll leave it at that, and I hope we have some success with it in one way or another. Good luck to the vocalist who was involved with it, and hopefully we can do many more projects like this in the short, near-term future. Bye-bye.